They're here with me right now. Supriya Dwivedi of Enterprise Canada, Earnscliffe Strategies, Shakir Chambers, Maclean's Jason Markisoff, and joining us momentarily will be political commentator Françoise Boivin. Hi, everybody. Good to see you. Supriya, why don't I start with you, and I'll pick up where Eric left off, where the NDP is concerned. From a political perspective, and I know there's a lot of substance in this deal that we'll get to as well, but from a political perspective, Jagmeet Singh kind of touched on this. Do you think if he does go to the electorate, let's say it's 3-4 years from now, and is able to say, hey, we got some stuff done for you by working with the Liberals and keeping the Liberals in power for 3 years, that will be a convincing argument for Canadians?
I mean, it's a good question. I think it's certainly an argument to put forward to the Canadian electorate. That's clearly the calculus or what some of the thinking is from, not just the caucus members or those that are surrounding the leader, that is to say Jagmeet Singh, but also I've heard that echoed throughout, my own Twitter feeds yesterday and today. So I think you're likely going to see that. And I think how they make that argument will be interesting, because the flip side to that will be, of course, they're going to be getting quite a few attacks from the Conservatives and the Bloc in Quebec about keeping the Liberals in power unnecessarily. But if you have deliverables to show for it, if we're talking about pharmacare, if we're talking about a dental care plan for folks who don't have their own coverage, that's significant. And we're also talking about, combating multiple crises at the same time, right? Where the climate crisis hasn't gone away. The pandemic, I realize we're all tired of it. And we've pretended, I guess, that it's going to go away. But, who knows what the next 3 years will bring. So it's a very long time. I think if nothing else, the real winners, I think, out of this are progressive voters, right? So the majority of Canadians who voted for progressive parties in the last election.
Françoise, you've been an NDP MP. I wonder if you were in their shoes right now and you heard Jagmeet Singh say, well, you know what, and I'm paraphrasing, if we end up losing the next election, if I'm not the person that people want to vote for, but at least I can say we did things for Canadians, I'm okay with that. How would you feel as an NDP MP hearing your leader say that?
Well, thank God Vashi didn't say it exactly like that, because I heard your question, I heard his answer, and he was definitely not wanting to venture too much on that factor. Of course, he's not going into that deal thinking, oh, well, maybe I won't be prime minister. But he's, I think, realistic right now. He's the fourth place party in the House of Commons. He's probably approached, that was not clear in my mind who started what. They started talking right after the election in 2021. Fine. It didn't seem to go that well at that point in time. And then suddenly somebody had an epiphany and decided now is a good time. And we're getting outside of the pandemic. We're facing numerous decisions on different fronts. It's going to be a hectic parliament. We could see it even with the alliance and the agreement. You can still feel that this House of Commons will be pretty noisy for the next few years. So thank God, I don't think he's expecting not to become prime minister. But like he said, if at the end of all this, and being productive and helpful and cooperative and collaborative, people prefer another party to become the government, well, at least he will have delivered on two major piece of legislation that in decades to come we might view as favorably as we do with Medicare and so on and so forth. So but that was a tough question you put to him, and I thought he handled it. He handled it well. I hope nobody thinks that he said, "I don't care becoming prime minister," because that is not at all what I heard.
Yeah, not that he doesn't care, Shakir, but that and I think, do we actually have the clip? I think we might actually have it. Let's play it. Let's listen to how he answered.
If this means that it doesn't work out for us and this argument doesn't play out, I will have still been able to do something, and our team would have been able to do something meaningful for people, and that's more than enough for us. I hope that we can make that argument, but even if we can't, people will see that we fought for them and they get the help that they deserve.
It's interesting, Shakir, because in this world of like everyone is kind of interested in politics and partisanship plays such a big role in things, we're not really used to hearing things like that. Do you think it resonates with Canadians?
I'm not sure. I think for the NDP, I mean, a lot of what I was hearing is why did we vote for the NDP? I feel like that's been a common theme. What they've been doing for quite a while, right? They've been de facto supporting the Liberals on almost every confidence measure. I think all they've really done right now is kind of formalize their arrangement. And when you talk to folks about what's going on here, I think the only thing that really stands out for me in that agreement is the dental care piece. I view a lot of the other pieces as their Liberal platform commitments previously, maybe a slight tweak here or there, but again, they're Liberal commitments. And the junior party in these arrangements seldom gets credit from the voters in terms of pushing the legislation forward. So I'm not so sure what Mr. Singh is going to get out of this. I agree with you in the sense of it's a more, I guess, optimistic, positive tone of, we're going in this kind of just making sure Canadians get what they want. I definitely understand that, but I think there's going to be electoral consequences as we get into 2025. And I don't think Mr. Singh's going to get, if you will, the electoral bump that he's probably anticipating. And I would agree with Supriya, what she said earlier. He needs to have some very concrete, hard deliverables to bring back to the electorate, to even have them even look at him again and say, you know what, we will cast our ballot with the NDP, despite knowing that you're just kind of propping up the Liberals as they've done since at least 2019.
Jason, what about the Liberals? How do you think this plays out for them?
They're comfortable now. They're very comfortable. They don't have to worry about endless election speculation, always having to go one by one, getting the NDP on side with the budget or with this confidence vote or with this other financial measure. To increase spending mid-year. That's a relief for them. They have solidity, and there's so much speculation about what this is going to mean for Justin Trudeau's leadership future. I have no inside information, but it does give him a runway now that he's not going to necessarily have an election until 2025 to determine his date of departure if he wants to not run in the next election. Of course, he's said he will, and that's what you say until you stop saying that, of course. But that gives them a lot of comfort. And they were very happy to introduce this generational new social program in terms of childcare. I don't think they necessarily would have on their own done anything on dental care. They seem to be really kicking pharmacare down the road indefinitely. But now, if the government, if people look to them, like they looked to Lester B. Pearson so long ago as the architect or co-architect of more major social programs. That's tremendous. The other thing they get out of this is a whole big lot of stuff to do. I was thinking earlier this week that it was a lot for this budget to be planning to do much more on affordable housing, something to tackle inflation, more defense spending, more on climate change, and continuing this major new program in childcare. To layer on top of that pharmacare and dental care, that's a lot. This is going to take a lot of, what's that old term they use, deliverology and finesse for this.
They don't use it anymore. It's gone.
No, they don't. They may have to bring it back to get all this done.
I look forward to having to say that many times on air. Okay, we're going to press pause on the Power Panel. Hi, I'm Vashi Capellos, host of Power in Politics. See more of our show by subscribing to the CBC News channel or click the link for another video.